Welcome to Better Health. My name is Sunganani. I want to share with you why I started on the carnivore diet. In 2024 of October, end of October, our 16-year-old son was diagnosed with a cancer called acute lymphoblastic leukemia, the aggressive type. And as you can imagine, his mother and I, my wife, we were shattered. His brother and his sister were shattered, and the entire family. Um, he went straight into chemo 2 or 3 days later, and one of the questions that we asked the doctors was, are there any restrictions in terms of what he should be eating? And the doctor said, no, just make sure that all the food that he eats is well cooked so that he doesn't get any infection from it. Now, the doctor and his team who have been working with my son throughout this whole experience are good at what they do. They're great people. And I don't mean to question their expertise. But here's the thing. I've come from a history where I was diagnosed with high blood pressure at the age of 17. First year in college, we go for our mandatory medical test and exam, and they found out that I had high hypertension. They called it essential hypertension. And I was put on drugs straight away. But with time, it became clear that they didn't know what was causing it, and it was just been a mixture of try and error of what could work, right? And so I took it upon myself to study different kinds of remedies. I've done it mind over matter things, speak to the disease, and all sorts of diets. So there were diets that I had done, like the vegetarian diet, which did improve the situation at some point. I've struggled with weight, and so I thought to myself, there's got to be something. Through a series of different circumstances, I ended up talking with my aunt, who shared with me a video by Dr. Thomas, Professor Thomas Seyfried, who talked about how they have been treating cancer patients with less chemo and more diet. And he talked about how you need to bring the patients in ketosis so that the cancer cells starve, because cancer cells, in his study of 20 years plus study, they have discovered that cancer cells thrive on glucose and glutamine. But if you put people on a ketogenic diet, and this is something I had heard about before, he said if you put people on the ketogenic diet, what begins to happen is that you starve the cancer cells of its fuel, of their fuel, and they basically starve off. Then you can use less chemo plus the diet to treat the patients, which is good for the patients because it's less toxic and less side effects and all that. So that led me to a rabbit hole. I found other doctors who were saying similar things, not just for leukemia and other cancers, but also for type 2 diabetes. Dr. Anthony Hampton, he also has done a lot of work into this, and he showcased the case of a almost, is it 80 or 90-year-old guy who beat type 2 diabetes with the same approach. And Dr. Hampton has got a guide which I'll link for you to get. Just sign in and it will be emailed to you. And so when I saw that, I said to myself, I need to check this out. And I found more and more people on YouTube talking about this way of eating. There's debates about the pros and cons of it. Is it sustainable? It causes cholesterol to go high and all that. So I've been studying through all this, and I decided to go full steam ahead into the carnivore diet in February of 2025. So now this is my third month on the carnivore diet. It's also called the lion diet. It's called the high fat no carb diet. Some people do low carb diet. You know, there are different versions of this. So after about 2 weeks of being on the carnivore diet, I started seeing results in my energy levels, how I sleep deeply more in these days, and when I go to the gym, I seem to have a lot more energy, and there's also weight loss issues, some of which I'll go into detail later on. The members of my family are coming along. because after a while I spoke to my son about it. He saw the videos, and I kept giving him video after video of people who've beat different kinds of cancers, including leukemia. And one day he said, "Okay, that it's enough. I don't need more convincing. Let's do this. But you're doing this with me." So that was really good. And he also began to see the benefits. We'll talk about that later on. Our older son also is kind of like doing a hybrid of that. My wife, so our daughter she's in college, and she's doing her best to make do with some kind of version of that. So we're seeing results, and the more I dig into this online, there's a very good channel called the No Carb Diet, where there are all sorts of interviews being done, um, people talking about how they've been helped in many, many ways. So I said to myself, let me chronicle my journey. And as we go along, and if people want to try it, well, they've got to do their own research. I'm not a doctor, I'm just telling you what works. And hopefully also get to talk with others. There's also the aunt who shared with me the video of Professor Seyfried. She went on the carnivore diet for a month, and she's pre-diabetic, and she has seen a whole lot of changes. I'm hoping one day I will get to talk with her about this. So this is video one, and I just wanted to share why I am doing this. I want to get the word out as much as possible. I'm in Lilongwe, Malawi, which is a country in southern Africa. We're sandwiched between Mozambique and Zambia and Tanzania, about 2.5 hours flight from Johannesburg. And I'm hoping that somehow we can get this going, because the immense benefits that I have seen, not just in myself, but the members of my family and other people online, is really worth getting the word out there. So subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.